Mo me kalema o.
We are streaming already on YouTube. Welcome, everybody.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to another session on the link. It's good to see us here. Thank you for joining early. And we are going to be talking about the March of Faith today. I'm hoping we have more joining us, so I hope you still have time to invite other people to join us. It's going to be a great discussion. And I will be taking the discussion today about the March of Faith. We're in the month of March, and by the grace of God, we are going to be marching forward gloriously in Jesus' name. Okay, so the March of Faith, the case study today is the book of Exodus. And it's about the children of Israel leaving Egypt. And we're taking it from Exodus chapter 13 from verse 17. And I will just be reading through some verses. And it says, when Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them through the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. Just a moment, just missing a few more. Okay, so welcome to those just joining us, and I'm reading from Exodus chapter 13 verse 17, and our discussion today is the March of Faith. Has there been a time in your life when you have had to move forward by faith without knowing what was going to happen next? And that's what our discussion is going to be on today. So I'm just starting the discussion with some Bible verses. Okay, so I'll start again. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness towards the Red Sea. Thus, the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. So by faith, Joseph had already spoken to the Israelites that they should take his bones from Egypt, believing that they were going to leave Egypt and go back to their own land. The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night. The Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. And so the things I want us to focus on is that the Israelites were led by God. So in a march of faith, it is by the leading of God. It's not a march that we go on our own and just say we want to undertake by ourselves, by our own volition or by our own human reasoning. It's something that we do because we are led by God. Secondly, it says they left Egypt in military formation. They left Egypt armed for battle. It means that there was preparation. They went in formation. They went marching forward. That was the way they left. They left in an orderly fashion. In another version, that's how it's put. Then they took Joseph's bones. It means there was a note of finality. Taking Joseph's bones meant that they were taking it by faith, telling themselves that they were not going to return to Egypt to go and do anything. They had taken it by faith. Second, the next point is that after they left, they camped at Etham. Sometimes in the march of faith, God takes us in a roundabout fashion. God makes us wait. God makes us camp for different reasons, but it is all still a march of faith. It is a march of faith mainly because God is the one leading us God is the one leading us to our destination. And it's a march of faith because if God is not leading us, we don't know where we are going. We don't know what we are doing if God is not leading us. And because God was leading them, God had made provision. God was guiding them. God was providing for them. We know that God provided for the children of Israel along their journey, provided for them such that their clothes did not wear out, their shoes did not wear out. We know that He provided direction for them by showing them which places to take, and He gave them His presence. God stayed with them. The pillar of fire did not leave them. The pillar of cloud did not leave them. God's presence stayed with them because they followed in this march of faith, because they followed this march of obedience to God. And that is part of where we are heading to. The march of faith is a march of obedience, is a march in which we are following God. When He says stay, we stay. When He says move, we move. And whether it is day or night. So it is a march of faith. If God says, wake up this night and pray, and God says, this next 3 days, I want you to be fasting, or I want you to do this, it's part of the march of faith. Okay, now, in the course of the march of faith, faith will be tested. And it was tested in chapter 14. When we go to chapter 14 of Exodus, we see that God made the Israelites turn around because He wanted to confuse the Egyptians, so that it was as though the Israelites were confused. He said the Egyptians will see you and they will think that you are confused in the wilderness and they will come after you. By which time the Egyptians had buried their firstborns. They were now strong enough to start chasing the Israelites, and they decided they cannot let their slaves leave just like that. And so they were on their way to meet them. And it was at this point that the Israelites were tested. Their faith was tested. So in this march of faith, there is going to be tests. Tests are going to come, trials are going to come. And it doesn't mean that God has left us. It's just a point at which we would need to reaffirm our faith in God again. And we see what happened when their faith was tested. We see that they were talking, they were saying things like, were there no graves in Egypt? Why did Moses bring them? Why, how could he do this and that? And they were saying many things. And that's a point that I want us to note in the march of faith, that we need to be really careful of the things we say in our march of faith as we go on in the march of faith. Let's be careful of what we say because our words are powerful. Many of these people, because they grumbled and they continued grumbling, many of them did not end up going into the promised land. But God still did a miracle because God remained faithful. And I would end on that point when they cried out to God, and God responded because Moses told the people that don't be afraid, just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord Himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. And this is something that we would always note in a march of faith, that when we are walking in the march of faith, God is the one that fights our battles. God is the one that goes ahead of us and sorts things out. We would do our parts, but God does the greater part. He does what is impossible, and He leaves us with what we can do. He will never give us more than we can bear. And that is important in the march of faith. And I don't know whether there's someone that is going through a march of faith in some way, stepping out into the unknown, stepping into unknown territory or into uncharted waters. I just want to encourage you that if this is what God has led you to do, and this is a place God has led you to, that God is enough, more than enough to see you through and to bring you through it. And he says you should be still and see the salvation of God. Okay. I wanted to talk briefly about the 3 Hebrew boys. Theirs was not particularly a match of faith because they didn't even have an opportunity to match at all. They were bundled and thrown into the fire. But we can see the affirmations that they had made, that even if they were told to march into the fire, they were going to do that because they were already ready to sacrifice their lives, that they were not going to bow down to any idol. They were only going to serve the living God. And that might not come under a match of faith, but that was 3 Hebrew boys that were ready to die for their faith. And sometimes we get to points in which our faith is on the line and we've gotten to a crossroads when it's either our faith or nothing else. It's either our faith or our reputation. And at that point, I pray that God grants us the strength and the courage to always choose him first above all else. Some circumstances in my life, I remember when I was going to relocate and I was given options like, oh, why don't you just wait? Why don't you take a leave of absence and try so that in case it doesn't work out, you can come back? And I remember saying, no, I'm not coming back this way I left. This bridge needs to be burnt. I don't want the opportunity to even come back and begin to say, maybe I want to try this route again. I know that God is leading me into another territory. And I thank God for leading me in that journey. It wasn't an easy journey. After I relocated, I wasn't working for a year, but God sustained me. God sent helpers. God sent ravens in unexpected ways. I didn't lack anything. And just thinking about it makes me to thank God and praise God, knowing that God, who has done all of that in the past, is even able to do greater things, even in the future. Okay, so I don't know if anyone is happy to share with us about their match of faith. I've been talking a lot for the past few minutes. I don't know that anyone is happy to share about how it's been the match of faith in their lives. Okay. Do we have anyone who is happy to share with us their match of faith? Let's have hands up. Let's hear from you. I can see you, Abimbola Zaha. Let's have you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good to hear your voice and see everyone. Okay, first I remember when I was going to go for NYSC. It was before the insurgency in the north. So my parents really wanted me to serve in Lagos. But I sincerely prayed, as in that was the very first time I felt God answered my prayers, because I was like, God, I want to go somewhere really far away that is not easy for one to come, come and visit me either by air or by road. And God was so intentional, sincerely. In short, it was that moment I began to believe more God even more. So I was taken to Borno State, right? And when I got my letter, I was so excited. I was like, hi. I called them. I was like, thank God I was taken to Borno. And my mom said, Borno Makodi. I was like, no, you don't get it. Borno Maiduguri, where you went to see your sister those years ago. She was like, what? Return it. I'm a shake, but I said, you can't share anything. This one I'm going. I remember leaving school that day and I headed to the airport. I went to ask how to get to Maiduguri, and I remember they told me it was only 2 airlines at that time that was going, and our flight at the time was the same flight, the same flight fare to go to Ghana. That was how far it was. I was like, I'm ready for this, So I already met people there, and then I went. I hadn't been there. I hadn't been to the north. I hadn't passed Lagos and Ogun State at the time. And then I went, right? I remember we left Lagos 8 a.m. We landed in Bonn 4 p.m. I still remember vividly because we got there late. When we arrived there, for some reason, we entered camp. We saw people who could cheer us up, hugging us. After camp, before the end of camp, someone said, you can live somewhere, blah, blah, blah. You can live there for free, but everyone is just donating for food and all of that. And that was how I stayed there till, somebody, I don't know how they got my papers and they relocated me to Abuja at the 6th month. I really don't know how that works because I made sure I didn't want to leave, right? But that happened. But what I'm trying to say is I moved. I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to be somewhere. I took a bold step and I prayed about it. Secondly, when I went there, God really surprised me with the gift of good people. People, even till now, we still connect. Even though many of them are in different countries, we still connect. I'm so grateful because that taught me a lot of things. I got to meet people. One of the first events I ever planned was in that city. And I remember and I look back and I say, God, I'm grateful that I've even been to that place. I am grateful, I think the second one was also when it was a job that we were supposed to do. It was supposed to hold in 3 cities. It was an event job, 3 cities. It was crazy. And I was just looking up to God and saying, God, how is this going to work? Because my head was spinning. The team members were like, this is a lot of work. This is going to require team members alone that are going to be like 30 people, to pull off that job. But I'm thankful to God that everything worked out, even though it was an intimate event all through, all the 3 cities, they were intimate, but I'm grateful God showed up for us. There are things that moments where I said, no, we can't take this job. No, I didn't get the direction that we should take it. Someone will say, no, you're not the only one getting the direction. Someone else is getting direction from God if this is for us. So because we felt we hadn't entered some terrains in the country, we didn't need to move. But then some of them were like, I think we were called for this, we're made for this, we need to move. And that was God just doing things. And they were one of the sweetest clients ever. They made things easy, they made everything move. I just feel when you get the discernment to move, make sure you pray about it. Let God guide you, let God see you through. Take that bold step and make sure that you are not out of God's presence while fulfilling that journey. Amen. And then you eventually succeed. Thank you. That's the end.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that. We'll just take, I don't know whose hand came up next. I think it's Soha's hand that was next, followed by Mommy Juwoke, followed by Mr. Obindo.
Thank
you.
Yes,
Soha, let's have you.
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to share my own step of it. And when we were talking, I was just smiling because I also shared this testimony recently. So I was serving and I read anatomy as my first degree. So while I was serving and from school, we already had this issue with job insecurity, like there's no job in anatomy. What do we do? It's only to go into academics and all that. And so I was somehow eager to get a job so I can go for my master's and then proceed into what I want to do. So I was looking for the job while I was serving, and I had so many people telling me that it's not possible. So I applied to schools in Kaduna, Nasarawa, another northern state again, Bauchi, and then to this current school where I'm working. And I wasn't expecting this school to call me for interview because when I was applying, I used a high cadre As at then, I just had my BSc. So I applied through the senior lecturer's cadre because the application was done online.
Mm.
So while I was doing it, it was all fate. I was like, yes, I didn't see the cadre that I needed, and I want to apply, I want this job. So if I can't see that cadre, let me use through any cadre. As long as they see my application, I believe they will read through my CV. So I did, and I submitted the application. I didn't hear from them, and I've already applied for my master's. So I don't know where the money is going to come from. So I finished my service, that was 2017. And while coming down from the north, because I served in the north, while coming down, I saw the school. And I just told God, I said, God, give me this school. I love the school. It's beautiful outwardly. Just give me this job. So I went home, and Lagos called me for admission that I should come and resume 2018 January. And the money was nowhere to be found. So with the money I saved during service, I went to Lagos. Nothing. I don't even have where to stay. I have to call my cousin who live in Ogun. The way they call Ogun, so place in Ogun as Lagos. So I was with him there, and my transportation from his place to where I was schooling was about 1,000 plus as at then. I was looking at the money in my account as it was depreciating whenever I go to school. I was like, is this how I'm going to continue? So I just told myself, I need to take this step of faith and ask anybody that I can stay with. It was a weird decision. And I prayed that night. I said, God, grant me this favor. And after making that prayer with the faith, I just told one of my course mate there, I said, do you have where you are staying? She said, yes. Her dad rented a room and parlor self-contained for her. I said, yeah. I said, you are so lucky. I thank God for you. Can you squat me? She said, for how many months? I said, 3 months. She said, yes, I can. And that was how I went to stay with her, and she squatted me. Before her squatting me, this institution has already called me for interview, and they have already told us to pay our fee. And I had to borrow money. I said I will pay back. I borrowed the money even from this my friend that squatted me, and from other people, and someone also gifted me 50,000. And that was how I paid that school fee. So when I was now with her, I spent a month. She was taking care of me, like everything that you need to be taken care of as a lady. She was providing everything. Sometimes I look at her, I say, I don't know how I deserve you. So I was with her, and that night I cried to God. I said, God, I need you to do something. No, I didn't really pray, because I went to our fellowship and I saw a book written by our general superintendent, and it was on when you have prayed and prayed, sometimes praise God. So when I read the book that night, I started praising God, thanking God for the things he has been doing for me previously. And then I just slept. And in the morning of the following day, the provost of the institution called me and said, are you still interested in the job? Though I was given a technologist. So I said, yes, sir, yes, sir. So that was how, with the step of faith, I was able to pay all the debt I was owing. Some even asked me not to pay. I was able to complete that studies. And sometimes when I look back, even when I was coming for the interview, I was looking for where I can stay. And somebody called me and said, don't waste your time going for the interview, that they said they needed only people with PhD, and that is the people they need. They don't need any person with BSc. I said, I said, what these people telling me this thing? The enemy of progress in my mind. And I don't need this kind of people in my life. I said, with faith, I am going there. As long as they called me to come for interview, let me go there first. So I don't even know anybody in the environment. I traveled down from Lagos to the northern part of Edo State, and it was like the whole day. I just saw somebody and said, can I sleep in your place this night? Like, it was, sometimes it's weird, but God was just guiding me. And as long as I put my trust in him, he has never failed me. So faith is really vital in anything we are doing, anything we desire. Just put your faith in God that, God, this is what I needed or what I need, and it will come to pass. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you. That is such an amazing testimony on so many fronts. It's really, really a match of faith. We can just see her going to different places, talking to different people, and we can see the hand of God in everything. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I see we have lots of amazing stories here, and I'm so glad you're choosing to share with us. I will let Mommy Jumoke share with us now. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I just have two very short testimonies. Years ago, I can't even remember how long ago it was, before I got my citizenship in the US. I had a job program event to go to in London. They had already bought my ticket, done everything. I sent my passport, my Nigerian passport, to the British. I sent my Nigerian passport to the British consulate in New York. And I didn't know, I thought I could get my visa immediately. So, and I waited. They said, oh, I can't get my visa, that I couldn't get my visa until Monday. And I had to be in London that Friday because the event was Saturday and Monday. And so I had an old passport that hadn't expired. You know, this is what, so I don't know how I ended up with two passports. Anyway, I had two passports. So my auntie was taking me to the airport. She said, have you gotten your visa? I said, I didn't want to lie. So I said, so I got to the airport. I gave them my green card. The lady gave me the boarding pass. So I was speaking to my prayer partner. This was years ago. And I said, Kemi, they've given me my boarding pass. She said, okay. So I said, if I get to the gate and they upgrade me to first class, then I would know that all is well. So as soon as I got to the gate, the lady they upgraded me to first class. And then she said, wait, you don't have a visa to go to the UK. I was like, yeah, so I am a resident. She said, yes, even as a US resident, you need visa. So she goes, oh, and at this time, the door was closing, the door to the aircraft. I mean, they were closing boarding. I think I was one of the last people boarding. And she goes, they will deport you. So I said, she is me, they will deport you. Don't worry about that. Let me just get in. So I got into the plane. I slept, first class. I slept like a baby. And then went through, because of that, you now go through like the select immigration counter. I got there, just marched boldly and confidently to the counter. And the guy was like, you don't have a visa? So I said, yes, but I'm only here for 72 hours. And he stamped my passport and let me in. And so when I called my sister, my sister thought maybe they had already put me in detention, because how do you travel to UK on a Nigerian passport without a visa? So that's how I got in there. And from then, my faith increased, because I remember saying the earth is the Lord's and its fullness thereof, and that I'm a citizen of heaven, I'm a citizen of anywhere, and I can get into anywhere God is, that the word is his. And that really has been the way I have been living my life. I mean, of course, doubt comes. My youngest son, who is going to be 25, his faith is even stronger. Yesterday, he went to the airport. He's supposed to fly out today, and he bought the cheapest ticket. Those tickets you cannot change. And so he said, Mom, can you drop me at the train station? I said, but your flight is not until Friday morning. He goes, yes, I am going to the airport and I'll be surprised if they don't take me. That's just how he operates. So I dropped him off, got there. Not only did they give him a seat, they actually even upgraded him to comfort class, and he bought economy basic. But so this is just how we've always operated, like with that absolute faith and confidence that, because if I'm going to do it, God has already put it in my spirit to do it, and then he's already made a way. So it's just a testament to the power God has given us to align our faith and surrender our desires to him, and he always makes a way. So wanted to just share that to encourage us. God bless.
Thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you. Thank you for sharing. Those are amazing testimonies. I can't wait to be upgraded to first class now. Brother Albindo, Brother Dele, let's hear you.
Good evening, everybody. Good day.
Sir.
I am so grateful that I'm here today. I have two testimonies too. Let me just, that shows my match of faith. One was when I was in pharmacy school year 2. I lost my mom, and she happened to be the breadwinner at that time. Things were difficult. To even eat was a challenge. I was still and I was in pharmacy school. So I struggled. I was a class pastor as at that time. I was a prayer secretary for my fellowship. Plus the distraction and everything. We usually were doing almighty exam that time, 1 exam per year. And I had some references. I failed. I was asked to repeat year 2. I felt bad. God, I worked for you. I served you. I did all I was supposed to do. Though, yes, we didn't have enough money. My sister was doing 4 jobs to see us through school. And it was just something else. But well, I went through it, passed, got to year 3, got to year 4. Year 4, or rather year 3, year 3, my father died. Things were very tough. Around that time, I told myself, in fact, I was not even eating breakfast. I only eat once a day, and I called it, I was leading a fasted life. In my head, let me lead a fasted life. I will eat when my food comes, and that was how I had issue again in year 3. That year 3, I have a big mouth. I was a class pastor for the new class that I was in. I told them before the exam, I said I'd gone out to preach the gospel. Before the lecturer will come in, I will go out before the class and talk to them. At a point, some of the guys in the class were like, "Can you confidence, boy? What? Where is this? Why is he like this?" At the end of the day, I even told them, now you shall know who is following on to know the Lord. This examination will distinguish between wheat and tares. I said a lot of things. Give your life to Jesus so that you will be this, you'll be that. Guess what? I repeated year 3. That was the second time I was repeating in pharmacy. It was a heavy blow. The day I went to check my results, I didn't go in the day. I went at night because somebody gave me an inkling. They any receipt list. Any pass list. I mean, no, it's not possible. My name must be there. So I went out to check, and I saw my name on repeat list. In fact, a lecturer called me afterward that you passed all the very difficult courses. Why is it that it's this la cram, la pour, la forget courses that you couldn't pass? Very simple courses that everybody were passing that time easily. So I told myself, Lord, I think I need to die now. How will I ever face up to all my classmates that have left me behind? It was a touching story. I went to the bush, went into the cricket, field, and that sports center, and I was wishing for a snake to bite me. Let me just die. Because I will ever face up to my mates again and the people that are now ahead of me by 2 years. Some of them are Christians too. Why am I carrying on? I went to the sports center, no snake bit me. I got to the cricket pitch and I told myself, God, help me so that I will not curse you and die, because I feel like cursing you and dying, and immediately I said that and I was crying. Immediately I said that, I fell into a trance. And I saw, as it were, a demonic being, very huge and big, me that was looking for death before. I was not even afraid. Had with two broomsticks in his hand, and he was sweeping and sweating with just two broomsticks. I looked at that thing and I shook my head. How can you sweep clean with two broomsticks? But all of a sudden, a voice came from inside my heart that, Dele, notice where that demon was sweeping around my back. There's this Jehovah Witness bag I used to carry back there, and it was, as it were, there's a diamond inside that bag, and the Holy Spirit told me, Dele, grab your bag. The devil is still after something bigger than what is happening. And I quickly grabbed the bag. I hope I'm not wasting time.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I quickly grabbed the bag and I wound myself around the bag with the diamond in it. And the demonic being just threw away the two broomsticks and hissed. In fact, one of the longest hiss that I ever heard. And
left you alone.
What the devil was after was actually my faith in God.
Yes.
And if I give him the opportunity, he will carry it. So I don't know where the joy came from. I was happy. I went into a 7 days fasting and prayer. There was no food anyway before. So fasting became like a norm to me. And it was during the fast that God told me, Dele, you are not doing what I will have you do. And that was why you were experiencing what you're experiencing. Now start doing what I will have you to do, and you will excel. And sincerely, I still finished from pharmacy school when people felt, Dele will not finish. And I still finished with a 2-1 aggregate, so to say 3.5 for CGPA. At the end of the day, I was grateful to God because that was a match of faith. I almost threw away my faith in God because of the challenges I was going through. But God made me understand that faith in him is more precious than passing exam and going to the next class. Today, I'm a pharmacist, and I thank God for that. And the second testimony, in 2009, our son was just little. We had to travel back home. We went to camp or something, but someone else drove my car to camp. So when we're now coming back, I will branch at home to see my sister and the husband, and the guy said, I've seen someone else have gone. So when I left, myself, my wife, and our little baby, to go back, I have never driven that far before. So I didn't know road. My wife had some inkling. So we're moving as we're going back. At a point, everywhere seemed confusing. I didn't even understand the way forward or way backward. And it was in this eastern axis where, things were rough as at that time. So as I was going, we just prayed a little prayer. We parked somewhere and said, God, please help us. We are confused. We don't know the road forward. Please guide us. As we're going, as we're finishing the prayer, a guy just came from behind. I believe it was an angel, sincerely. He came with a car that had no number. He just parked in front of me and came out of the car. Pastor D, can you recognize me? I was like, so we're in the same church. You are my assistant pastor in Redeemed Christian Church of God, Victorious Army. I said, oh, Victorious Army, that's the church I had never seen this guy before. He was that time. So when I went back, when the guy left and entered his car, my wife said, we should still be careful. Boy, but we should be looking at the road as he's leading us. He was leading us. Surprisingly, checkpoint where they would have actually stopped everybody. In fact, there's a particular checkpoint along that eastern road where they stop everybody. Particularly when the car is a new car. They didn't stop us. They didn't stop this guy. We're just moving and moving and moving and following him until we got to a place where we knew the road was Abia State. From, I can't remember where we started following him from. Far distance. All of a sudden, this guy disappeared. Somebody with much enthusiasm that we should go to Uyo together, let's do convoy. We just didn't see him again, sincerely. We looked and looked, the guy just drove off, as in the car just disappeared. But it was when we knew the road back to Akwa Ibom that time to Uyo, that was when the guy disappeared. By the time we got to Uyo, and we got to Uyo quite early, around 6:30 p.m., I just looked at my wife and said, we had an encounter with an angel. So sincerely speaking, it helped me to realize that when we're in hard corner, it's always best to just ask God for help, and He will send help. He's a very present help in times of need. That's the second testimony of my match of faith. I just felt I should share those two. I have quite a number more.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for the
much.
opportunity to share.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And sorry about your mom and your dad. I think those were
Yes,
really earth-shattering events that can make anyone have a upheaval in their academics anyway.
that's right.
That time, yeah. But thank God for seeing you through and sending you help. Yeah. And yes, we all need angels like that. In your second story, angels. Yeah. Praise God. That's a real match of faith. Thank God for you. Okay, I think I saw a hand up. Dr. Anjori, I saw your hand up. I saw your hand. Do you want to say something?
Oh, okay. Actually, I was going to change my mind and say, let me, because actually I'm at work. I felt so I might not happen to say anything.
Okay. Okay. So do you still want to say something? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I'll say something very quickly. I've been blessed by all the testimony I've been giving.
Okay. Your network.
Is it?
Your network is a bit shaky.
Yeah.
Your network is a bit shaky.
Network is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit better now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to just give a testimony. Before I talk about that testimony, I will say something that I'm actually reading about or studying from God's word recently, and I think it just goes very much in line with the things we've been talking about. I was reading the book of Ruth, and from just the second chapter of it, and you know the story of Ruth after they got back to Bethlehem, and of course I believe Naomi must have told her about the so-called social security package in Israel, where when during harvest, people don't harvest the corners and then they drop this anything that drops, widows, orphans, and people like that can go back, and so they can have their own livelihood too. And so what's the match of faith in it? Verse 2, the Bible says that Ruth said to Naomi that said, please let me go into the field and glean after him in whose sight I might find favor. Now, there was an expectation in the heart of Ruth that she was going to find favor. But if she had sat at home, there was no way she would have had an I remember
Hello.
Usage where I told, oh, I'm gone again. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, back now. Yeah, back now.
What? So where did I get cut off?
You said you remember when you were in usage. I heard you say that. Okay,
so it was the house job. I do my house job in usage, not because God told me, but I said because usage, you know, some of us who train the usage know I love usage. I felt I needed a place where I could have hands-on experience. I would be, you know, so I thought I was going to go to FMC Abeokuta. God told me usage. And this was a time when it was hard. It was hard. I don't know how better to describe it. To get in slots for house job in usage was almost impossible. In fact, few of the guys in my class who were like the top in the class, they were given, I think, 11 of them, and then the rest of us were waiting. So people would go to the CMD's office, and they would go. I said, I would never go there. I did not want usage. God told me usage, so he should sort. Again. God. Oh my.
Yes,
Right.
we can hear you. Go on.
Oh, okay. So I said I was not going to do that. Then my parent told me, "Oh, come to Lagos, who is the chairman of the Lagos Hospital Board." Because I told them no, but they insisted when, and then reluctantly, and as I was sitting across the table with the man, I was like, God, you know me, I'm not doing what my parents, but I know you said it, don't wait for usage. So this, I cannot forget that day was a Wednesday that we went to see this man. So the following day, no, it was Thursday, the following day was Friday. So the following day from Lagos, I came to Ibadan. But the man told you that come and see them at technique and go back to Ibadan. I came back, and this is the days. As I go back to my room and I was dropping I saw my friend there in the room. Said I was going to see this what I do. I said I don't see talk to you. I said, you bring that Lagos.
Hello.
I don't have any letter. Hello.
Hello. We are struggling a bit to hear you. We are struggling a bit to hear you because of the network. But I can deduce from what you are saying that God made a way for you in UCH, even when you did not press any buttons, that God made a way for you in UCH. Is that what you are saying? Because
I don't know. I came to another place now. Yeah,
okay.
I came to another place now. I don't know if it's going to.
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you now. All right.
Now, okay. This way. So I told them I was going to sit there. They said, "Did you get the letter from Lagos?" I said, "No, I didn't come with any letter. I came from God." So I said, "Let me follow you there."
Dr.
So we both
Sukomi.
went to see the scene.
Dr. Sukomi, it's still breaking.
Hello?
It's still breaking.
All right. Let it be then.
Oh, we need you to have better network so that we can hear you. But yes, we are all on a march of faith. We are all on a march of faith. I don't know whether anyone still wants to share what they have been through on their march of faith. We started the discussion with talking from Exodus chapter 13 about how the Israelites left Egypt. There's one point I forgot to mention, and that was that Moses kept a record on their march from Egypt into the promised land. And it's in Numbers chapter 33. And he kept saying, and we went here, and we camped here, and we went here, and we camped here, and we went here, and we camped here, and we moved from here to there. And I think it is so important that we keep a record in some way of our march of faith, of how God has led us, so that we can recount the testimonies that God has done, even in our lives. And we can even tell them to our children, so that they can see the wondrous works that God has done. And this is something that God encouraged the children of Israel to do periodically, that they should tell their children of how God led them through the wilderness, of how God destroyed the Egyptians in the Red Sea. They should tell their children, they should tell their children's children about the Passover. So these are things that we should keep in mind. But the march of faith is a march that we are going to continue to be on until we see God face to face. And walking with God is the best place to be. It's the best walk we can ever take. Walking with God is the best walk we can ever have. Someone says we must hear the testimonial. So Dr. Anjorin, we must hear your testimonial. So I don't know how you're going to do it. Maybe another time. So I don't know whether we have any more hands up someone that still wants to talk to us about the March of Faith? I think Jesu Tofumi had his hands up. Yes, Jesu Tofumi, let's hear you, please. Jesu Tofumi, you can unmute yourself. Jesu Tofumi, David, do you want to say something? Yes, please unmute yourself. You can speak to us. Thank
Okay,
you.
ma.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Please, ma, can you all hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Please, okay. We can hear you.
You can speak. Speak on. Looks like he has gone off the... Okay. I don't know whether anyone else had something to say about the March of Faith.
Good evening to you all.
Good evening. Yes.
Okay. So I want to share this testimony.
Okay.
Because when God says in his word that he will set a table before his children in the presence of his enemy. The Lord did it for me when I was in 200 level. Then we were on holiday, and the 100 levels and 300 levels may go back to their houses, but we, the 200 level, we have to go on TP. So during that period, I've been hearing majority of my senior colleagues telling me that, because I do ask them questions, that please, so how is TP? How do people used to do the TP? Because I don't have the experience, I don't know anything about it. So the majority of them were just telling me that, pray I should not see this type of letter. Pray you should not meet this type of letter. But then I said, okay, because these people, they can make you to carry the course, and this, God forbid, me, I will not carry it. So I just kept on praying to God that God see me through. It got to a point I have to tell God that, God, the lecturer, my supervisor that will come for me should be a person that will be like a mother to me, that will be like a father to me. So on that very good day, after the orientation, they gave us the form that we should go and submit it in the school we are going to use for the TP. So I went there, I and my two friends. So we went to the school, and the friends are actually my very good friends. So they are my very good friends, because at times I cook, they eat and everything. We do chat a lot. So we got to the school, and I noticed that the principal was telling us that here is full already, that we should go and look for other schools. But I was telling God, I said, God, me, I don't know everybody here. I don't know anybody here in my school. But these people, they do used to tell me that here, their father is teaching one school, they will have to travel down there to go and do their TP. This one will say my parents has connection with this principal, this and that. Me, I don't know anybody. I said, God, choose a school for me that will be very close to my school, that I will just have to trek. So, and God did it. So on that very day, we got to the principal office to submit our letter. The principal said, here is food that we should go and look for other schools. Then we begin to beg her, and later she said we should go. Later, another man came out from our office, and then in the process of begging her, the man just stretched forth his hand and collected my own form. So after collecting it, then the rest, my remaining friend, they just rush in, and then in a bit to submit their own form, the woman said, no, just wait, calm down. But I know the man collected my own form and dropped it on his table. And then later collected the rest of the people that were there, their forms and everything. So we submitted, and we're about to begin. After leaving the office, something just put it in my mind that did I write the course I want to teach the students, that I should go and confirm. I know that I've written it before on my file. He said, look, I should check. And lo and behold, I searched for my form. I couldn't find it again. Even the man was surprised. How come that I collected it from my hand personally and dropped it here? How come? Not knowing that some of my friends that we came together, after I've given that into that man and there was rushing and everything, they took my own copy and submitted their own that very day. So I was looking for it, and for me to just peep outside and call my friend that they should come, what's going on? They've gone. They've left me. So I begin to search. The principal came out, and all of us begin to search the office. How come? But my spirit was not telling me that my friend took my paper and carried it away just because the man collected my own first. It's a kind of hatred in that part. So I was confused. But thank God, my daddy told me that any document you are giving to in the school, make sure you do the photocopy in several pieces and have the copy in your hand. Keep it for reference purpose. So thank God I did that, and I have another copy. The woman said I should bring it, and the principal now wrote something on top of it and then took it by herself. And she said I should go, I should not worry. But I was now looking at it that, what of if I now want to do it? Because my spirit is telling me, because one computer woman that sat down in that office said that he saw one of the guys taking the stuff from that table, but he thought it was his own, so he didn't say anything. So if I want to do something at that particular point, I will just say, okay, this is it. This is the person that took my paper, because I have the feeling that they were the one. So I just left. I thanked that woman and the principal. I just left the office. So on getting to the school, they called me. They say, where am I? That I should come and meet them somewhere in the school. I was just thinking, why are these people like this? I mean, my friend, my personal friend. So I went to meet them. They were not laughing when they saw me. Now they were not asking me that, what happened in that? Say something happened. That people wait for me. We came together. Why do people left me in the office? He said no, that they just have to leave that place. That what happened? I said nothing happened. When they were just pressurizing me to say something, I said, okay, Satan want to prove something, and God took absolute control. And that's what happened. Satan proved himself, but God, took absolute control. He said, I said, okay. So I went back to my bursary and submit the document that I was given in that school. So later, when I go back to my hostel, that evening, one of them came to me. David, what happened in that office? What happened? I said, why are you people giving me a headache? What's your problem? Do you people do something? They said no, that they believe that something happened. I have told you that Satan wanted to do something and God took control. That's what happened in the office. So, okay. The following day, early in the morning, the one that was living outside the campus came to my room. Early in the morning, I was even still sleeping on my bed. He woke me up and said, what happened in that office? I said, you people, you know what you did. You know what you did. He said, what happened? Then I said, you should call the second one. So when he called me and I confronted them, said, you people, you took my file. Why? They were not like, we are not the one. It's one girl that took it. Okay, I said, look at you people. And I call you people my friend. It was just God. And during the process of the TP and everything, because I prayed to God that my supervisor should be somebody that will be like a parent to me, that will not give me any headache. And God answered that prayer. Even in that school, I was recognized by the principal. Even my TP teacher, I have her phone number, and up till now, we are still calling and we are still chatting because she's telling me that my second that I should be coming to that place again. Even in that school, God and I stand out among all of us that they took in that school. But what the funniest part is that the supervisor that
That's a great testimony.
I was not even like God at a point. I was laughing at them. I was not for me. These are many mommies. Name be praised in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much for that testimony. You have described a match of faith in what you have described. And some people think that a match of faith is an easy journey. The only thing that makes it easy is because Jesus is holding our hands through the journey, and Jesus always has our back. And it's obvious from your testimony that Jesus had your back. Jesus always has our back. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for sharing with us. So a big thank you to everyone who has joined, especially those who have joined from the beginning. Thank you to everyone. I would have hoped more of us spoke, but I'm really grateful to everyone who has spared time to speak with us. It's already about an hour, and this is about the time we round up. God bless you for joining us. If you are not a part of us, you can be part of us, joining us on the link. We have a vibrant group in which we do things throughout the week, talk about family, talk about relationships, talk about health, talk about different things that pertain to wholeness. And we are all about aiming for whole lives, wholeness in our relationships and in our families and even in our nation. And we pray that by the grace of God, this would be our testimony. Next week, we are talking about the March of Victory. And the March of Victory is going to be taken by our very dear, dear mommy and sister, Adebusola Oyerinde. She's a mommy Geo, and we are very glad that she's here with us. And she's going to be taking us in that meeting. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm really grateful that you're all here. Okay. Thank you to those who joined on YouTube. And for those that missed this session, they can catch up on YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is Temitope Praising Child. Lots of helpful videos on there. Feel free to join us there as well. An iPhone